Okay, so welcome back to another edition of the Northern Nerdcast, where we showcase the geeky and nerdy people, groups, and events that happen in and around the Edmonton area. The Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Please feel free to head on over to albertapodcastnetwork.com for a list of amazing Alberta-made podcasts. We would also like to encourage everyone out there that if you enjoy this episode, to share it with all your friends on social media. This way, we are able to help grow the community here in Edmonton and keep everyone up to date on the latest news and information regarding the geeky and nerdy people, groups, and events that happen in and around the Edmonton area. Also, if you or someone you know would like to be featured on our show, please feel free to contact us over at northernnerdnetwork.com. Now, let's get on with the show. All right. Welcome back. Like I said, my name is Dan Schessel, and on today's edition of the Nerdcast, we don't have Chelsea. Chelsea's gone. She left me. She went overseas on vacation. So it's just me tonight. I'm also here chatting with Paul. Is Paul Lavallee? Is that how you say your last name?
It's Paul Lavallee.
Lavallee?
Yeah.
See, I never asked these questions beforehand, and especially when your mic and everything is not working before.
Yeah. No,
2 seconds. We're just running into this.
Yeah.
Head first.
Technical problems. Yeah. No, it's all good. No, my name's Paul Lavallee, and I'm a comic creator from Edmonton. And I guess I'm here to promote my comic on Indiegogo, which launched last week. And I'm just really excited about it. And I'm just excited to share the comic with you guys. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get to that in a few minutes here. But first off, we like to get down to the heart and soul of every person that we have on our show by asking them what's on their geek shelf. So, Paul, what do you have on your geek shelf?
I used to collect the McFarlane toys a lot back in the day, but I'm a big Joe Madura fan. And when Darksiders, the first video game came out,
that is nice.
These were like limited edition figures. So I haven't really picked up any figures lately, but I don't know. I'm a big Joe Madura fan.
Yeah.
So I really barely even played the game. I really like comics more than just games. So. Yeah, so
it's you got to get it right. If it's part of the whole fandom, right?
I had to go to first. I think I had to go day one, and I had to line up. Or I got lucky. I found out there's a little store. I think it was in Sherwood Park or something at the time, and I was just lucky enough to go there, and they had them in stock. And no, it was a Best Buy. I think. Yeah, something. It was a while ago, but yeah. I've got a Halo figure as well. I'm a big Halo fan, so
nice.
That's probably kind of a lame figure, but
I'm never one to get that giant whatever they're called, the big limited edition games when they come out. But I did for Halo Reach. And so on my shelf at home, I have the big Halo Reach. I got all the figures on the mountain.
Nice.
It looks pretty slick.
Nice.
I'm a huge fan of Halo. You play the game much?
The first 3 or 4 I played nonstop. That's all I played was just Halo and NHL.
Yeah.
And then I kind of stopped playing a little bit, and then whatever the last 2 or 3 I haven't really picked up. Once Bungie kind of stopped
making them,
the next few I picked up, and then but I was playing it 24 hours a day. They were so fun.
Halo used to be the biggest thing out there, right? And yeah, you're right. When Bungie when it went to the other studio there, 424 or whatever it was, I'm not a huge fan of what they've been doing with it. So hopefully the new one, whenever that comes out next year, I think it'll be a little bit better. I'm kind of excited to see what they do, but I'm always excited to see what they do, but I'm always hesitant. I'm more hesitant now than I have been.
Yeah. What's the new one coming out?
Well, they're going to launch with the new Xbox when it comes out, which is going to be next year, next cycle there. So
cool.
We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, such a fun game. The Bungie, oh my god, yeah.
I know. I used to. Well, I remember back in the day going with Halo 1 and just playing that thing to death.
Yeah.
With my friends, and we'd have big LAN parties. We'd everyone come over and they'd bring their Xboxes over and we'd all hook them up, and it was a big thing.
Yeah. That's pretty much the only game I play is Halo and is hockey. I play a lot of NHL, but even that. I'm waiting for the new one to come out 2020 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so well, we usually kind of just go through like how we've been doing. So, what have you been up to lately?
Pretty much, I've been working on my Indiegogo campaign, which is for my comic Beast Dominion. I've been working on that probably. I took time off from my day job, my work, about 3 months ago, to just kind of focus on a comic.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's been good. I've been trying to really just focus myself on doing 4 to 8 hours a day, just drawing and shooting, trying to treat it like because it is a real job, even though you don't get the payoff right now, especially on the Indiegogo, or even if you're just pitching for a publisher, you put in a lot of hours and work, but you don't really, see any income from it until later on, hopefully, but anyways, that for my case anyways, but I'm I'm really passionate about the comic. I'm really passionate about just telling these stories. So it's even though I would do it for free, even though I'm not, but and hopefully not, but it's something I enjoy doing, and so
you're trying to make it go at her.
Yeah, pretty much, and they're just
That's
characters.
awesome.
Really, I've crafted these characters over the past 10 years. I spent a lot of time, and I feel like I know the characters, and I'm just excited to kind of share their stories and stuff like that. And,
yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, I'll just for myself, anyways. On the last little bit here, I've been mostly out of town working the last little while, but I've talked to my kids. We decided that this year I always try to do something fun with the boys when I come home, because I got 2 little boys at home, right? And so this year I decided that we're gonna try to build an arcade machine, just a little bar top one, right? I got some plans that I found online that should pretty much do exactly what I need to do. So and I know that there's a place in Edmonton that's. Have you ever heard of a place called retro? Oh my goodness. Retroactive. That's what it's called. Sorry, I don't know why. It's Casey Hudson is the guy that runs that shop. It's like an arcade cabinet making place in Edmonton. So I'm gonna go over there, and he's got all the buttons and switches and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna head over there, and that's the project that we're gonna work on for this year. As soon as I get back home here, and we're gonna start that up.
Cool.
So I'm kind of excited about getting down to doing that thing with the kids. Do you do any projects aside from the comic? Just
aside from the comic, not really.
Not really. It's kind of consuming you right now, eh?
It really is, yeah. It really. That's all I think about a lot of times. But so I have to get it out on paper. But to take my mind off, besides hanging out with my wife, I've been playing a lot of poker. Actually, I took up poker this past year.
Nice.
this past year and a half a bit. So I've been playing, just small stakes tournaments, and I don't know. It's really I like the competitiveness and even a bit of the like camaraderie. Just hanging out at the poker tournament. But yeah, so I've been trying to hone my skills a little bit at poker. Building stuff. I like sculpting a little bit. Sometimes I do that for some of my characters.
Yeah.
Kind of like for reference, so I have a consistent reference. I usually use that clay I pick up at just the art store, but yeah.
Nice. I had a friend of mine. He actually went to Vegas and did a bunch of poker tournaments and did fairly well for himself while he was down there. Yeah. Poker's one thing I admire people who have the guts to do it. Because sometimes I don't know. That's a tricky thing. There's a lot of skill involved, and a lot of people don't understand when they go to play.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot more to it than just.
You can get lucky now and then, but there's a reason you see like the top guys always at the top. Like it's not coincidence. Luck is a factor, but
you can get lucky, but at the same time, you need to be able to have a little bit of extra skill in your bluffing and all that stuff. There's a lot more to the game than just
reading the opponents, and sometimes taking up. There's an adrenaline rush too. When you pull off a big bluff, you're kind of like, it's almost like a sport, but not quite. But
yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, we are going to get down to talking about Induced Comics and your Indiegogo campaign. But first, we're going to take a quick little break. I got to do a little quick ad, and then we will be right back. So this edition of the Northern Nerdcast is brought to you by Unit B Coworking. Unit B is a multi-company co-working space focused on helping people pursue their passions and making Edmonton its creative best. Join a tight-knit group of freelancers, startups, and established organizations, all dedicated to getting things done. Besides desks and offices, Unit B offers members access to its podcasting studio, meeting space, as well as a kitchen, Wi-Fi, and the usual amenities. It's located in the historic McKinney Building on 104th Street, close to everything downtown, including the Bay LRT station. Book a tour today at unitb.ca. All right. So today we have on our show, we have Paul Lavallee. Love it. Yeah.
It's Lavallee.
Now I'm getting you thinking about it. So we have Paul on the show tonight talking about Induced Comics and his Indiegogo campaign. First off, I just want to kind of ask you, whatever just made you think, you know what, comics? Yeah, I can do this.
I think I've always been into comics since I was like in my early teens. I was big into Image Comics when they first started, like Spawn. That's kind of when I started collecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of followed comics through high school. And then around after high school, I kind of stopped collecting. I stopped drawing for a little bit. And then about in my late 20s, I started drawing again. I started picking up. I just started drawing. I kind of just before that, I went to university for a little bit, just taking some general classes in writing, and I really took an interest in writing. And I hadn't even thought about doing comics, and then I ended up just getting back into art a little bit, and then I just decided to my passion for writing mostly started it, but I just decided to just merge the two because I was drawing anyways. I was drawing a lot of pictures, and then I just decided to make some comics, like just make some stories, and I was going to either self-publish them or publish them online. And then around that time, around 2008 or so, I went to a few conventions in the city, and then I crossed paths with Happy Harbor Comics. I met some like really cool creators there. Like, and I had my first short story published through Happy Harbor. They used to publish an anthology.
Yes.
Tales from the Harbor. And then from there, I just kind of, I published an anthology. And it's just something I've always been passionate about. Like and it just kind of grew stronger to passion. And then telling my own stories, though, it was mostly came from just thoughts. I just had a lot of cool stories in my head that I just wanted to get out. And I was writing before, but just telling them through comics is just like, for me, it's just, I just love the storytelling aspect of comics and the way, you can tell like a whole kind of, not a whole movie, but you can do a lot with comics, you know what I mean? Like with the medium itself without a budget. And so, yeah, I'm just really passionate about just storytelling and just telling cool stories. And yeah, so.
That's cool. So are you part of that Open Door Comics at Happy Harbor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really haven't been there actively. There's other guys who are more active in it. But yeah, I mean, I used to go to the meetings, and they used to have comic jams at Happy Harbor. Just drawing.
Yeah.
It's like a. Did you ever go? Or it was a comic jam. It was just like every Thursday they would you draw a panel. Next guy would draw a panel, and that was also really good practice for me as well. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I know they've done like the 24-hour comic book day challenges and stuff like that. Have you ever been a part of any of that kind of stuff?
I did do that. Yeah. That's that was were like good practice as well for me, but they were pretty tough. 12 days. Even the 12-hour challenges were pretty tough. I think I accomplished one. I did like 2 or 3 24-hour challenges, but I never finished them. But I did finish one, and yeah, they're tough.
I know I've covered a couple of the 24-hour comic book day challenges that Happy Harbor had there, and I think that might have been one of the first things that we ever covered on this channel, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember how it was, a while ago. And yeah, that was one of those things where I remember going there and seeing everybody, and after everything was kind of said and done, just you could see the level of exhaustion on everyone's face as they are trying to wrap up their comics at the end of the day, and like it's something that if you're interested in something like that, that's definitely that's a challenge and a half, that's for sure.
For sure, it's a good way to like test yourself, because not only are you staying awake like 24/7, you have to stay awake, but you also have to like finish 24 pages. So you kind of like it's a little nuts, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. So anyways, what else? Like I want to just kind of get down to where the idea for your for your comic started. Like where did that come from?
The idea for me, so I had a lot of ideas. Like I had a lot of ideas when I did like 1 year of general studies at university at U of A, and in the English class, I just telling you like we were doing a lot of reading, and I got to meet a lot of authors because like I had all these ideas just bumbling just in my head, and I was writing them down a little bit, but I'm not I just wasn't a very good writer. Like I'm not a great writer, but I'm a very visual person. So even when I write for comics, like I don't write it, I thumbnail it. So I just had a lot of ideas. I couldn't write them in time, I think. So comics was just a good venue for me just to get these ideas out. And then the idea for Beast Dominion, it started a story around 2008 that I started. there's a character named Gabriel. He gets these he starts getting these kind of waking up to these like supernatural powers. Like he can read other people's minds. He's able to jump into other people's kind of minds perspective anyways. And he's trying to figure out why he's got these powers. And I like the aspect of kind of like Peter Parker, you know, how when he gets his new powers. I just thought that's like a fun story to explore, kind of like a modern, not a modern take, but just kind of my take on it. Like if it's just some kid got these kind of weird powers, like what
would you do with that?
Yeah, exactly. Like it wouldn't, you know, I'm sure not everybody would be like the Boy Scout. Like I'm sure they would make mistakes and have fun with it, right? And so that's part of his journey, is dealing with these powers, not, you know, not, you know, like taking advantage of them, I guess. And so that's part of it. And the reason he gets his powers is there's like an alien invasion, an interdimensional invasion. And it's sort of like the Earth's self-defense. When it gets invaded, like these certain people will get superpowers per se. Like people just get powers, like they just wake. So there's a few people. Sorry, I'm just kind of mumbling a bit, but
no, it's all good.
And kind of the conflict of the story is these people discovering their powers and then figuring out how to use them for good before, because when they get this alien invasion, when it happens, they know there's going to be superpowered beings, so they're going to try and reach these people before they can kind of realize their powers. Essentially, that's kind of the gist of it. So
yeah,
Gabriel's getting powers, and he's connected to this other dude who gets powers. His name's Desmond. He's like this. I guess he's like a drug dealer. He gets possessed when alien invasion happens. There's this the main villain. His name is the mind thief. He's like he's like this big red dude, and he just possesses people so he can make people do whatever he wants. So he's like the first line of attack for this invasion. He comes down, starts in like just possessing all these people. Desmond's one of them. He's doing all this fucked up shit because he's possessed. Gabriel can kind of see what he's doing through his dreams, so that's kind of his connection. There's a reporter involved. It's kind of like it's told through the reporter's perspective a little bit as well, and so that's Gabriel's connection. He's kind of like the Peter Parker, and then there's the GPO. So the story takes place kind of a little bit in the future. It's kind of a slightly different than like our reality, like
yeah,
you know what I mean. And the GPO is like the Global Protection Order. So they're like a global protection, sort of like a UN super team. Like all the nations decide like we should just create a super team. It's like, but they try to give it a PR. Like I tried to imagine it in real life. Like if they did make a superhero team, like they would have to give them cost just to market it, to give them like the image. Because they're probably going like really, you know, they're going to battle war, but they're trying to give it the image to the public that they're kind of a superhero team. So they give them like flashy outfits, even though they're kind of just soldiers. And so that's told through the perspective of the main character. His name is Jag. He's like the leader. He's kind of like the Boy Scouts, like a Captain America type. Like so he comes right out of high school, so he's like the all American, but all and he starts learning. So the GPO, it's kind of like a world government. This invasion, they have a connection to it as well. Obviously, it's like part of the story. So he starts learning of his kind of government's secret connection to it. So his loyalties are kind of tested. He's kind of like, he's torn between what's right and then what he's kind of being paid, or what he's supposed to do, right, as kind of like the kind of superhero, I guess.
Yeah, so he's sort of like conflicted about where he's at, right?
Yeah.
I just kind of, so your whole story, like it's more of an adult story, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, for sure. Yeah, even though I try to keep the superhero, because I know a lot of readers of comics are kind of younger, I guess, right? So so that's why I kind of introduced the GPO. They're kind of like a superhero team, and but yeah, I guess you could say it is kind of like a little bit
more geared toward mature audiences. Oh, awesome. So yeah, like it's nice to be able to have that freedom, right? Because I know there's a lot of times where you kind of get stuck where you have to cater to a younger audience or whatever it is, right? But when you're doing your own kind of comic and stuff, it's not so bad of an idea to have a little bit more of a mature theme to it, right?
Yeah, you can dig into kind of some mature themes and mature subjects a little bit more, for sure. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you started Induced Comics, what was your thought process going into that? Like, I can do Induced Comics. I can do this full time.
I think it started for me when I was young. When I don't know if you remember, like Extreme Studios, and like when Image had all these cool studios, like Extreme Studios, Homage.
Yeah.
They kind of stayed in my brain, stayed in my head, and I always liked the idea of having a studio, or like a small publishing, a small studio publishing, and yeah, that would. And I just I like superheroes, and I think there's like there could be more. There's more. I think there's a demand for more superhero comics, and I think there's a demand for more new characters and stuff like that. So I think a lot of fans, even me, they're tired of the same, from the big two. It's always the same.
Yeah.
Dozen characters, just revamped or redone, right? So I do think there is a kind of a market, and there's a demand for new superheroes and characters.
So when you kind of mentioned Image Comics, is there any inspirations that you've had over the last few years, just even for this comic, it's in general?
I've always been an Eric Larson fan. I always liked how he just does his own thing. He just writes, draws. He's been doing it for probably 20 years. He just does his own thing. He just writes, draws his own comic, and he's got the freedom to do that. That's what he wants to do, and that's what I like doing. So he's a big inspiration, and Eric Larson. I always liked Jim Lee as an artist when I was growing up, but he was so good. I always found him too good that I never really copied him. I used to copy a lot of Rob Liefeld drawings, just because it was easy for me when I was a learning artist. I could copy it easy, but yeah.
Have you ever got a chance to ever meet any of the?
I met Eric briefly. He came down to the Calgary Expo a couple years ago.
Yep.
Didn't chat with him much, and I ended up seeing him at the another convention just randomly in the States a few years back, but I did get a commission for him for my character, one of the main characters, Sabotage, in my comic. I always get commissions from different artists, and I did get a commission from him, and it's prized possession. And it's
no kidding, eh?
Pretty awesome, yeah.
That's pretty slick. How can people find your Indiegogo, and what's sort of your goals with this campaign here?
So my goal is to raise about 1,300 American in about 60 days. And the people can, you can find a comic if you search Beast Dominion on Indiegogo. And basically, I'm trying to raise money just to cover costs, publishing costs. I'm hiring an inker and I'm hiring colors. Basically, you can go to Indiegogo. You can find it, search Beast Dominion, and I'm offering some perks. This is pretty much like it's like pre-orders.
Yeah.
Some other perks. You get a digital PDF with every order, but I'm offering like you can get a custom sketch, commission. You can get original art. But one of the main perks is you can get drawn into the comic. Like I'll draw you into probably a background scene, like a panel.
Nice.
Provide the reference, and I'm doing a trading card as well. But that every perk's gonna get the trading card, but the custom sketch and being drawn into the comic is what I'm excited about. Like,
how's been the response so far?
It's been okay. It's been I'm at about 20%, like after just over a week, and yeah, it's been pretty good. Little bit slow start, but I'm hoping to build momentum, and I'm also like part of the success, having a successful Indiegogo is like, because I'm also working on like pitches for publishers. Like a lot of times there's 6-8 pages pitches. So just having a successful like Indiegogo campaign is like, I think it really helps like for pitch and just showing that there is an audience, and like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have your work and get it out to people in their hands, right? And even with this is going to be your first Indiegogo, is it?
Yeah,
is that right?
yeah.
So I mean, even with your first one coming out here, being able to just build a community and having your name get out there more is going to be a big thing, right?
Definitely, yeah. Also, yeah, I'm just trying to. It's also great just to get. I don't know, I like that word exposure, but it does expose my art to have like new audiences and stuff like that. And Indiegogos are like really hot right now, it seems like, and it's been in Kickstarter, but yeah, and I've got some plans before the end of the month. I want to have some pages on Webtoons, so
awesome.
I'm getting that ready as well. So I'm excited about that. So yeah.
So what do you for other people who are thinking about kind of just doing the same kind of thing where they've been working at their job and they've got the passion to do this kind of stuff? What do you kind of have to say to those people?
Yeah, just like go for it. Like you can't just like quit. Like I made sure to save money. I'm running a small delivery business, so I was able to work my butt off from like Christmas to like the spring, and I was like save some money so I could just work on this and then still pay my bills, and then but like if like there's no reason not to I think there's no reason not to at least work on it before you commit to it full time, right? You can work on it part time when you're working, because like you can wake up before you go to work, draw pages, or all it takes is a couple hours a day. So yeah, it's easier said than done. I do when I'm working full time. Like it is tough to when you're tired, come home, work on a few pages, but it is doable, and let's just yeah. But I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't, like anybody shouldn't pursue their passions when it comes to stuff like this, right? Because like there is value there. Like people have, usually what you're passionate about is what you're good at, usually, and because you do it more, right? So if you're passionate about something, you probably have value to offer. That you just have to figure out how to offer it, I guess. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So where can people find some of your work? Where can people find your Indiegogo? Where can people find you online? Like where are some of these links here?
InducedComics.com is my website. Right now, it directs you straight to the Indiegogo. So InducedComics.com, you can search me at Induced Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can search Induced Comics, or you can search Lav2K. That's kind of what I go with for social media. LAV2K, and even on YouTube, you can search Induced Comics. I've got a few videos up there. I'm trying to do more tutorial videos, just sharing just the process of creating comics, and that's pretty much on those are the main platforms you'll find me on most of the time.
Awesome. All right, so thank you so much for coming on. We're going to take a quick little break here again, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the events that are happening in and around the city, and we'll be right back. All right, so this edition of the Northern Nerdcast is brought to you by the Alberta Podcast Network. That's powered by ATB. And if you guys head on over to albertapodcastnetwork.com, you will find just a bunch of amazing Alberta-made podcasts. Right now, we got some. Oh my goodness! Right now, football season is getting underway. We have the Eskimo Empire podcast that I want to point your guys' direction to. That is up on our podcast network. We also have, a ton of other podcasts for you guys to go and check out as well. If you guys check under sports on our page there, you'll find a bunch of podcasts. We got 2 and Out CFL podcast, the Fourth Line Hockey podcast, the Fourth Line WHL podcast, the Eskimo Empire podcast for kicks, or for kicks. Sorry, I don't know why I say just. Hockey Fields, Loyal Company of the River Valley, and the Tight Ends podcast. I mean, we got so many. If you guys are into sports, we got so many sports podcasts it's just amazing. But we got so many other podcasts on the network as well for you guys to check out as well. But I'm going to leave that to you guys to go and do. And that is all on the Alberta Podcast Network.com. And I just highly encourage you guys to go over and check all that out. That's Alberta Podcast Network.com. All right. So like I said, we have some events. You know what? Last week, if you guys listened to the podcast, I did a whole thing on events. So I'm not going to really the whole thing was events. So I'm not going to go too much into this, but I'm going to go through quickly some of the events that are coming up, just some of the highlights. We got RPG-a-thon. And that is happening July 13th, which is, this weekend, for those who are interested in that kind of stuff. And that is happening at Boyle Street Plaza, and that's July 13th to 14th. So go check that out. Fragapalooza is happening on August 8th to 11th at the Duke Recreation Center. It's going to be an awesome time if you're into gaming, that kind of thing. It's going to be great. Animathon is also, it's Amazon 26 is happening at the Shaw Conference Center. And that is happening on August 9th to 11th. So make sure you go check that out. And that's all the events I'm going to kind of go through for this week. I know that's pretty quick. But I really just want to say one more time, go and check out this Indiegogo. Go check out Paul and all his amazing stuff. So Paul, once again, where can people find you? Where can people find all the amazing stuff that you're doing?
Induced, and you can search Beast Dominion on Indiegogo, and pretty much those are the main ones. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you're always welcome back anytime you do another Indiegogo or whatever you guys are, whatever you're up to. Definitely hit us up because I mean it's exciting, and I'm kind of curious to see how you guys do at the end of this because the stuff that you guys with the stuff that you have on your Indiegogo looks really awesome, and I really do encourage everyone out there who's listening to this to actually go and check this out because it is a really amazing comic. So go check that out if anyone's interested in this campaign. Definitely well worth going to check out. So thank you, Paul, so much for joining us tonight on the show. And I want to thank everyone out there who listens to the show and ask everyone that if you can to share it with your friends on social media. The Northern Nerdcast is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network powered by ATB and is produced by myself along with Chelsea Thompson and Trina Schessel. You can also find more information on the Northern Nerd Network by checking us out on Twitter at Northern_Nerd, on Facebook.com/NorthernNerd, on YouTube.com/Northern Nerd Network, or on our very own website, NorthernNerdNetwork.com. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition. I want to thank everyone out there for listening and or watching this episode, and I'll see you guys on the next one.